Well, the journey of Woodstock 50 certainly took an interesting turn late yesterday afternoon as word got out and media reports started spreading like wildfire that the event was canceled. As of right now, 8:23 in the morning on Tuesday, April 30th, I can tell you that the Woodstock 50 is not canceled. It's not canceled. That's not to say that this thing isn't in severe, dire, trouble, but it is not canceled as of right now. So what's going on? Let's follow the timeline of where the breakdown occurred and where we're at right now with everything. This is and by the way, this is a story that cannot be told in a 45-second headline. It just can't be. There's a lot of different layers to this, but we're going to break down everything. Besides the fact that we've been following this pretty, heavily, and that's represented in past Morning Show with Anthony vlogs, which you can see at wehm.com, even from the get-go, even from the first signs of Michael Lang, right here on Long Island at the Hall of Fame ceremony, the Long Island Music Hall of Fame ceremony, saying, yeah, I think we're going to do something. From that moment on, we've been following this and we've been keeping track of it, and it's never been a smooth ride. Woodstock 1 wasn't smooth. Woodstock 50 years later, still not smooth. I don't know if this has to do with Michael Lang specifically, or maybe it's an upstate New York problem, or maybe it's just the juju around Woodstock. I don't know. But it's never been easy, and this time certainly wasn't easy. And there's been signs all along the way, and we've been tracking it, that this thing has been, again, not going to go off without a hitch. It was the Bethel Woods thing that they were planning on doing something with Live Nation. And then that eventually sort of subsided. And then the next thing, what was the next thing? I don't even remember all the stuff that went on. There's just been so much. The really tiny media availability when they announced the lineup finally. The fact that the lineup took so long. That was it. We didn't know who was playing. That took the longest time. And then we found that out. And then the media announcement was really strange and weird and very small compared to what it should have been for an event of this magnitude. And all throughout, right up until the last thing. And again, you can go back and watch Morning Show vlogs. Right up till the last thing when John Fogerty last Friday announced that he was doing the Bethel Woods performance when he was booked on Woodstock 50. And I said, and you can go back and watch, it's on video. I said, what does this mean for Woodstock 50? Because we're sitting here with an on-sale date of Earth Day, which passed. Still no tickets on sale. Then we found out that they haven't finished with their, permits and everything, and that's why they couldn't put tickets on sale. And now all of a sudden, one of your guys that was at your launch, your media event, one of the guys you're hanging your big coattails on, John Fogerty, just walked across the street and booked a date there. 2 hours away or whatever it is, Bethel Woods to Watkins Glen, and a day later, and he's going to be headlining there. I'm like, this is strange. This isn't supposed to be like this. I understand that they're sharing Santana already, and there's a thing, but that was weird. That was a weird move to me. And that was a sign that we had a lot of trouble on top of all the other signs. So let's look at what happened yesterday. So Dentsu is this agency, financiers, right? They're the ones that are putting up the money behind Woodstock 50. That's what we can gather. There's like 6 entities involved in Woodstock. We don't know all of them. Some lawyers, obviously Michael Lang, obviously this Dentsu company, and there's a few others. Now, they were the ones who sent out the cancellation. What's interesting about that is, there are financiers for tons of things in the world, right? I mean, every movie has a financier, but the studio makes the movie. When the financier decides, I'm not paying for this anymore, he doesn't send out a press release that says, the movie's been canceled. That's just not what happens. I didn't really understand why the people putting up the money and had little to nothing else to do with this festival would send out a press release saying that this is canceled. It doesn't make any sense. Hey, I'm not paying for this anymore, or hey, we're pulling out, or attention world, Dentsu is no longer associated with the Woodstock Festival. All okay to say. But to say the festival's been canceled, I don't know if it's entirely up to you. It was a kind of a bold move. And even the most biggest negative naysayers on Woodstock in those articles were admitting, like, I don't even know if they have the right to cancel this. Now, just to show you that, that doesn't mean anything. Just because they don't have the right to cancel doesn't mean that this festival is not in trouble. When Michael Lang was reached for comment yesterday, he didn't have the sort of confidence that one would want to see exuded from the leader of such an event. Yesterday, according to a statement to the Poughkeepsie Journal, Michael Lang said Woodstock 50 vehemently denies the festival's cancellation and a legal remedy will be sought. Michael Lang's publicist told Billboard when they called, and I quote, "We do not have a statement and are awaiting further advice." So not exactly what you want to hear, again, from the person that's carrying the torch towards Woodstock 50. However, what the festival organizers are saying now is completely different. Their latest statement, again from Woodstock 50, is, and I quote, "Although our financial partner is withdrawing, we will of course be continuing with the planning of the festival and intend to bring on new partners. The bottom line is there is going to be a Woodstock 50th anniversary festival, as there must be, and it's going to be a blast." That's the latest. Now take from that what you will. Clearly, yesterday afternoon, we're going to look for further advice. And now today, there's going to be one where we're going to have a blast. It's two different stories. Why we doubt this is back to Billboard, who reports in the last couple of weeks, Woodstock 50 reached out to both Live Nation and AEG. And if you remember, Live Nation was backing the Bethel Woods thing in the beginning, and they wound up pulling out of that. I think because they respect and understand Woodstock 50 and how big it was. Also, Bethel Woods never was like 18,000 people. That's all they're shooting for there, where Woodstock is shooting for 100,000 people. I think maybe they just kind of saw that and were like, maybe we'll get. I don't know, whatever Live Nation's reasons were. They pulled out of that one. But Woodstock 50 apparently reached out to both of them looking for $20 million in investment to continue the festival. And supposedly both Live Nation and AEG turned them down. This is all according to reports that have been put in Billboard. That's not a good sign. If the people that do this for a living and are the best at it, the best in the game, Live Nation and AEG, say whatever you will about them, but they've been able to successfully pull off concert promoting across the country, say no to one of the biggest brands and cultural iconic events in the history of the world, that's not a good sign. I mean, that should be a layup for Live Nation to come in there and say, no problem. What are your issues? We'll bring in our team and we'll see this thing across the checkered line and make sure it happens. And that's not what's happening. Supposedly, there's also been a lot of infighting. Apparently, AEG and Live Nation were seriously, concerned about the infighting and the amount of time running out. I think we're just a little over 100 days until the event goes off, and they still haven't put tickets on sale. Why haven't they put tickets on sale? We talked about this on a previous morning show vlog. The permits and everything else are not done yet. I know that sounds crazy to say, but these permitting processes take a really long time. Now, it's not like they're just sitting there with their fingers crossed, because one of the other things that came to light was, even though Michael Lang floated this just late 2018, again, at the Long Island Music Hall of Fame, they've been working on this festival for 2 years. For 2 years, Michael Lang and the Woodstock 50 team have been working with the Watkins Glen folks on procuring this and moving on. So it's not, again, it's, on the one hand, you look at it and go, this is crazily disorganized. And on the other hand, you're like, wow, they've been doing their due diligence. Dentsu had already reportedly spent more than $30 million on the festival lineup. And that's the other thing. Because of how delicate this festival was going to be, even though it was Woodstock, every single one of the artists wanted their payment in full, which means the Killers, Miley Cyrus, Dead & Company, Chance the Rapper, Jay-Z, Imagine Dragons, Dawes, you go up and down the lineup. Everybody's been paid in full. Everybody already has their money. And I look at that and I go, I don't know why a Live Nation or AEG wouldn't want to jump right in, because the biggest cost to a festival is your talent is the biggest cost. Security is going to cost you a lot. Everything else, the tent, all that stuff is going to cost a lot of money. But talent by far is your biggest cost for putting on one of these shows. And that money's been spent already. Now, that doesn't mean that Dentsu doesn't need to get that money back. Who knows what that contract is and what those clauses are looking like in there. But, I mean, a lot of the heavy lifting is kind of done already. So, it weirds me out. There's got to be something there, infighting, whatever, that is making Live Nation AEG say, I don't think so. Let's also not forget that the Black Keys looked at this and were like, no thanks. Don't want to be a part of this biggest thing because I'm not buying the scheduling conflict. Even though they're coming out with their own album. We just heard that news, a little while ago. That doesn't change the fact that Woodstock would be an unbelievable way of promoting it. Maybe the economics of it don't work. I've heard reports that they were scaling back the 100,000 attendees to 75,000. And the latest rumor on the ticket price was that they were going to charge $450 for a general admission ticket. Perhaps people weren't going to pay $450 for a general admission ticket. It makes sense, even though the lineup is extraordinary, and even though this is a brand beyond brands, Woodstock. A lot of the big music festivals nowadays, even with big names similar to this one, you can get to for $300. You can get to for a lot cheaper than $450. Now, I don't know if that's a one ticket pass for the whole weekend, or God forbid, if that's just one day, it's a different story. Supposedly, all the local municipalities up there, one of them was notified that the festival was canceled from Dentsu, but all the others have said that they haven't heard from anybody and they're going to just wait and see, and that they're continuing to work on some of the applications for Woodstock 50. So that's where we're at right now. That's a lot. You have big entities saying no thanks. You have the financiers saying the thing is canceled when they don't really have the right to say that. Here's the weird thing. When you peel it all away, the talent's been paid. Those dates are secured, right? Santana's got he's got his money. Danica got the money. They're all there. They got the money. They're supposed to be there. Guess where Jay-Z is going to be on August 16th to the 18th? At Woodstock. There's nothing preventing him from being there. He's been paid. His end of the contract is he's got to show up and perform. So I would imagine that somebody is going to step in and say, yeah, Michael Lang, here's your money. Unless this thing is a total nightmare. Because it still feels like there's an opportunity to make a lot of money here and have a really successful weekend. And there's going to be some investor, shark, whatever you want to call it, that's going to look at this and go, I don't care how much infighting there is. I don't care how much of a mess this is. I know if I turn over $20 million to these people, I'm going to get a check for whatever $1 million on the other side. So here's your money. So, if I sit here and tell you what are the odds of a Woodstock festival happening, I'm going to put that at 50-50 right now. That's pretty good. That's pretty good odds. I've bet a lot of money on way worse odds than 50-50. Still possible. Like I said, he's got the talent. They've already been paid. He gets a couple of permits. He puts some tickets on sale because it looks grim right now. But let's say he puts tickets on sale and brokers and people and everybody else scoop those up like crazy. And Woodstock Festival sells out in minutes. Then what's the story going to be? Then a lot of people are going to turn around and be like, let's get our money into this. So we'll see what happens. There's one permit that is holding it up that legally they cannot put tickets on sale for until they get this permit. So that's what's holding up the whole process. I'm surprised, though, they haven't found a loophole away from that. Like some sort of a down payment fee or some sort of a like a seat naming right, like a seat. What are those things? Seat licenses that they have for football. You had to buy a seat license before you could even buy a ticket to a game, like that kind of a thing. I'm surprised they haven't found a way around that stuff just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. But the fact of the matter is financiers cannot cancel this thing. If somebody comes in and Michael Lang is able to secure the cash infusion that he needs, it's going to go on. So to say it's canceled at this point is just a smidge premature. To say it's in trouble, well, that's pretty darn accurate. That is pretty darn accurate.